Back with Adam Archuleta and Yogi Roth. Kevin Calabro here at Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. Beautiful day today. Fast track for De'Anthony Thomas, 222 all-purpose yards. Tennessee Tech with 82 all-purpose yards. Thomas with a touchdown on the ground and one through the air. And remember, he had one. He was right at the doorstep at the one before the ball was ripped out of his hands. He juggled it into the end zone. They would score on that play. Here's a kick off the tee near side. This one coming to Keenan Lowe, the up man, who's down and around the 39-yard line. Let's send it down to Yogi Roth along the sideline.
Yeah, I talked to Watson Brown right after the half, and he said, look, up front, we're just getting beat. We can't get anything off, even a simple high-low pass. So look for some quick game, some half roll. In regards to De'Anthony Thomas, he said the last two punts that he returned, they were supposed to go out of bounds. So they're going to continue to directionally kick and get the ball out of his hands.
Thanks, Yogi. Yeah, we thought it was highly suspect that he would kick to De'Anthony Thomas.
I thought he was trying to give his punt cover team a good look before they start conference play.
Mariota rolls out a jump pass up the middle, complete. Down deep into Tennessee Tech territory, Keenan Lowe, the 5'9" sophomore from Portland, Oregon.
Keenan Lowe lines up on the outside to the left side. Mariota with the rollout pass, and the Golden Eagles clear out the middle, and Mariota puts it on him.
Mariota fakes the handoff, rolling out to his left. He's going to throw on the run, and backpedaling and trying to catch simultaneously down there was Darrell Hawkins off his chest. Incomplete.
A nice throw. You watch Mariota off of his back foot, and Keenan Lowe just simply outraces his man to an open middle of the field.
That was good for 38 yards, Adam. Here's Mariota handing off to Kenyon Barner, threads his way off to the right side, moving off the right tackle, dragged out of bounds by Travarius Goff. Well, would have liked to have heard that conversation at halftime in the Oregon locker room. Ducks penalized 9 times. They had turnovers in the first half as well. And as he exited the field, you heard Chip Kelly tell our Yogi Roth, penalties killing us. We'll have a discussion. And up to the middle, and a gain of about 2 or 3 on the play to the 15 was again Kenyon Barner. Barner had 8 carries for 37 yards in the first half. On 4th down, Oregon sends Barner up the middle, and except for a shoestring tackle, he'd have had 7. Stopped just shy of the 5. First down, Oregon, 1st and goal, Oregon Ducks.
Just a simple dive play. Kenyon Barner takes it up. Good job between the left guard and the center, making a little seam there. And it doesn't take much to get in the secondary.
Barner swarmed this time by 3 defenders. They overwhelmed him.
That's a nice job on that left side there by Tommy McBride to hold the point, hold the edge, and Barner doesn't have anywhere to run.
Brings up 2nd down, goal to go. They sweep it right side. Barner again muscles his way down to about the 3-yard line. Kenyon Barner is 192 pounds, a lightning, 5'11", out of Riverside, California, a 3-year letterman.
And he's a real meat and potatoes of the running backs. He can run inside, outside, wide receiver. He can carry the load.
Mariota near side fakes the handoff and zips a pass to Keenan Lowe for the touchdown. Well, that was a flawless drive by Oregon that time.
Yeah,
very efficient.
Really sharp drive. And I think for the most part, their execution on both sides of the ball has been very good so far in this game. They had the hiccup where Mariota threw for the interception earlier. Of course, the penalties, but from an execution standpoint, especially in the passing game, Mariota and his wide receivers and tight ends are pretty sharp in this game.
8 plays, 61 yards, and the time of possession just over 2 minutes, and Oregon on top 42-7 on the Pac-12 networks.
Coors Light says don't get flagged for breaking the law. It's a cold, hard fact. 21 means 21. So keep yourself and your friends in the game.
Well, here in Eugene, Oregon, the fans expectantly waiting for Pac-12 action to begin. Next week, Arizona will be here. In the meantime, it was Arkansas State falling in week 1 here to the Ducks. Last weekend it was Fresno State, and today Tennessee Tech taking the brunt of the Oregon onslaught led by De'Anthony Thomas. 42-7 our score, Oregon leading. 12:45 remaining here in the third period. What remains is to see how the Ducks execute in the second half. In the previous 2 games we mentioned, they've been outscored 43-12. They've given up 43 points in the second half of the first 2 games of the season. And that's going to be unacceptable to a lot of people around here. Darian Stone now will come in, the sophomore from Clinton, Tennessee, to quarterback Tennessee Tech. And Trey Lamb, the senior, on the sideline. Stone with a handoff to Urbano, and he is knocked down behind the line of scrimmage.
This is really the point in the game where Watson Brown, he doesn't want any of his guys getting hurt. You know, he needs Trey Lamb, and he was very adamant that the important part of their schedule is coming up. So right now the game really isn't in question, so it's a matter of getting the other guys a chance to get some experience, and more importantly, against this defensive front, keeping their quarterback healthy.
Tennessee Tech in brand new uniforms unveiled just today here on the road in Eugene. Golden Eagles keep it on the ground. Adam Urbano again, flag thrown behind the ball carrier down around the 20-yard line of Tech. Well, 9 penalties against Oregon in the first half, but it appears this one's against Tennessee.
Holding. Offense number 72. 10-yard penalty. Main second down.
5th penalty on Tennessee Tech. Tech from the Ohio Valley Conference. They were surprise winners last year of the conference. Watson Brown was named the conference coach of the year. And every year for the last 15 years, they schedule big schools on their program. It's obviously one way to make revenue for your program. It's another way to recruit kids when they know they're going to be playing against some of the best programs in the country. TCU just a few years ago. Here's the handoff to Urbano, churning his legs, got past the line of scrimmage, possibly. And Tech keeping it on the ground for the time being here to start their first possession of the third quarter. Brian Bennett warming up for the Oregon Ducks. Last year he stepped in, did Bennett, and played in 8 games behind Darren Thomas. And you mentioned this Oregon team earlier, Adam, and the losses that Chip Kelly incurred due to kids moving on after the junior year. LaMichael James was #1 rushing in the conference, 150 yards per game and 18 touchdowns. And Thomas was #4 in quarterbacking efficiency. That's a big blow.
Well, that's something they've been able.
Tip ball intercepted. Oregon intercepts. This may go back to the house for 6, and it does. It looked like it was Jamel Cook that got the deflection and races into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon. Dior Mathis. Check that. It was Dior Mathis, the sophomore from Detroit, Michigan, who got the deflection and into the end zone.
Yeah, quick 3-step slant. And Dior Mathis on the spot. Easy deflection around the football. And does he stay in? I don't know.
No, he went out right there. I thought he went out at the 3-yard line. Play is under review.
Yeah, looks right around that 5-yard line, Kevin. That left foot looks like it touched the white. Well,
yeah. I think they just need to determine where the ball will be spotted. There or there.
Yeah, maybe the 4.5, I think. But that's what they wanted. The second half has not been kind to the Ducks. In the first game, they had a lot of backups playing and didn't really do very well. That Arkansas State moved the ball quite a bit, so they weren't happy about that last week. Defensively, they showed up in the red zone. Offensively, they didn't show up in the second half. And so it was vital to come out after halftime for the Oregon Ducks and really step on the gas, execute on offense, which you saw they did, march right down the field. And now on defense, getting a turnover and almost getting a touchdown. Great start
After
to the
further
third quarter,
review,
something they haven't had.
It was determined that the runner's left foot stepped out of bounds prior to scoring. Therefore, it'll be 1st and goal at the 4.5-yard line.
You see Mathis and his reaction as they rule at that left foot.
Well, there's no reason to. That's what he's mad at. There was no reason to toe the sideline that quickly. And he could have had a touchdown.
So the left foot out and around the 4-yard line, and that's where Oregon goes back to work. Dior Mathis with the interception, and Brian Bennett now comes back out onto the field for Oregon. Bennett, the sophomore from Encino, California. Fakes the handoff, rolls out, spots a seam, and runs into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon. 4-yard carry for Bennett for the touchdown.
Well, he's a good runner. He's got a strong arm, but he really is a good runner. Runs the zone read so well. Came in last year when Darren Thomas got hurt versus my ASU Sun Devils and really took over that game. They were behind in that game and just took it over with his running ability. But he can throw the ball as well, too.
Oregon closing in on 50 points with 10:35 remaining in the third, which is what Oregon has averaged in the last 2 years under Chip Kelly. 49-7 the score here in the third. Well, it's all Oregon right now. 49-7 leading Tennessee Tech with 10:35 remaining here in the third period of play. An interception and a subsequent score by the Ducks. And they have put some points on the board here in the opening portion of this third period. Jermaine Hudson is back for the Golden Eagles along with Bud Golden. Hudson at the 15 to the 20, 25 across the 30-yard line and spilled at the 32. Let's go down to the field and Yogi Roth.
Yeah, one of the first players to congratulate Brian Bennett was Marcus Mariota. And I think that speaks to the culture that's been created here by Chip Kelly. Remember, Brian almost left this team. He almost transferred, decided to stick around, stay within this culture. And Adam, you know this as well as anybody. You've really got to develop that sense of community, because it's a long season. You never know when you're going to need Bennett along the lines, and to keep the culture of community within that team going.
Yeah, it's so key, and the best teams play as a team. And there's a handful of coaches across the country that do such a good job of taking the individual out of the team and letting the guys play collectively and be all in it for one.
Ball caught, but then may have been coughed up. It goes out of bounds. Tennessee Tech all over the ball down there as, again, Oregon buzzes to the football. Let me ask you guys this question. Will we see Bennett and Mariota in the backfield? Will they be using Bennett as another weapon at some point, or do you risk injury to your backup quarterback by doing so?
No, I think it's possible. You know, yeah. Brian Bennett, he's kind of a linebacker in a quarterback's body. He's tough. He can run the ball, so that definitely could be a package that you see, because getting both of those guys and the athletes that they are and their skill sets could create a lot of problems for a defense.
Stone wants to snap. He'll get. Oh, he flutters a ball. That looked like his arm was coming forward, but did it go back? Was it a backward pass? He races after it and leaps on it. Looked like it just slipped out of his grasp.
On an empty hand when he threw the ball.
All Arm going forward, the ball thrown backwards. He goes to get it, falls on it. And so a loss on the play.
Yeah, either way, that's not ideal.
No. Great conditions, too. You can't blame it on the moist fall air here in Eugene. It is absolutely gorgeous. 75-degree day. Stone hands off, and they kind of plow ahead there, but to no avail. Stephen Bush was overwhelmed. So Tennessee Tech will have to punt it away. And let's see if De'Anthony Thomas will come back on the field. Doesn't look like he will. So. It's Braylon Addison that's actually back there to receive the punt. Addison back there at his own 45-yard line. This one hangs in the air and drives Addison back. Takes a tremendous hop for Tennessee Tech and goes out of bounds at around the 15-yard line. Coming up after the ball game, be sure to catch all the day's highlights on the State Farm post-game report. We will recap this game and other big contests around the Pac-12. That's the State Farm post-game report immediately following the game on Pac-12 networks. Washington State last night beat UNLV 35-27. Connor Halliday got the start for Mike Leach's group and had 4 touchdown passes, 378 yards.
Personal foul, face mask on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty headed to the end of the play. First down.
Well, that's too bad. That negates that friendly roll that Tennessee Tech had. So Washington State with a win over UNLV last night, and then Cal today goes to the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio. They lose to number 12 Ohio State 35-28. Good ball game. And of course Mike and Rick and Curtis Conway along after the game to recap and break it down for you here on the Pac-12 network. Bennett goes to work. Bennett fakes the handoff, rolls out, throws a bullet to the far side, and that one sails out of bounds. Incomplete. Bennett did play against Arkansas State in the opener, was 10 of 17, had over 100 yards and a touchdown, but did not play at all last week against Fresno State. Here's the handoff coming to Byron Marshall. Marshall breaks it out to the near side, just shy of the 50-yard line. Byron Marshall, good looking back at him. Out of San Jose, California, a freshman. They want to get him some touches.
Now, older brother Cameron Marshall over there for the ASU Sun Devils. 18 rushing touchdowns last year. He is a workhorse. This family, they're built like a brick, you know what. Hey, they're good-looking athletes.
201 pounds on that frame, and he bounces off one man, churning his legs across the 30 to about the 25-yard line. We talked about the embarrassment of riches that Oregon has at skilled positions. One man leaves the program, LaMichael James, another steps up, and then the understudy behind Barner and Thomas is that man right there, Byron Marshall.
In the running back position wasn't very deep. You know, De'Anthony Thomas, how do you define him? Is he a back? Is he a wide receiver? And really, Kenyon Barner is the only full-time running back. So it was key for a guy like Byron Marshall to come in here and be able to step in there when they need some rest.
Well, Brian Bennett rolls out. He did not see Taylor Hennigan. He threw it right at his numbers and then positioned himself to make the tackle. So Taylor Hennigan picks off a Bennett pass, and Tennessee Tech will take it back.
Yeah, bootleg, sprint out action. And he throws rolling to his right, really nowhere to throw it. Coverage was great on the man and underneath. And not one of the better balls that Brian Bennett has thrown.
Hennigan laying in the weeds for the pick. And another turnover. Turnovers and penalties, something that Oregon will look back upon come Sunday. Boy, this snap rolls back to Stone. He gets down and fields it. And is able to hand off to his up back. And that's a gain of a few on the play. Nothing about that was pretty as Stephen Bush was able to push it forward. Mark Helfrich, the coordinator, sits up in the booth. Kelly calls his play from the sideline, and Helfrich there to assist, make observations from the booth, talking to Bennett. Play is under review on the field. That's the red phone. That's the hotline. When that thing rings, you better pick it up, Adam.
The game count clock is malfunctioning and will be kept on the field.
Well, and they joked, you know, Coach Helfrich, if it's a bad call, it was his call, and if it was a good call, it was Chip Kelly's call.
Yep.
You know, that's kind of how they work the play calling duties here at Oregon.
Okay. That's job security right
so
there.
he's that guy.
That's right. The black phone rings, it's okay. The red phone rings, though, it's you've got some explaining to do. So you heard the announcement. The clock has malfunctioned up here on either end of the field, and so the time apparently is going to be kept down on the field, which makes it tricky for the officials. Well, they're going to sort it out down there. They'll have a meeting in the minds, make sure they're all on the same page, coordinate it. They'll go over, talk to Chip Kelly, let him know what's going on. Well, some interesting games, obviously, in the Pac-12 last weekend, with the Oregon State win over Wisconsin and UCLA doing great business against Nebraska. Arizona upends Oklahoma State. Everybody
Correction,
waiting
it's the play clock that's not operating, not the game clock.
This afternoon
The
in
play
the
clock
Pac-12.
will be kept on the field.
And it was a great bounce back weekend. Not a very good opening weekend the week before for
That's
the
right.
Pac-12, and that desperately needed. Way to bounce back. Big wins against other conferences, some nationally ranked teams. And I like the big wins by the 3 new coaches. Now, that is crucial. And the induction of those coaches in this conference makes it extremely competitive. And it's going to be fun to watch and see how it plays out this season.
Arizona State with a win over Illinois. Arizona State in the first 2 games has allowed just 10 points. And they've had 10 rushing touchdowns. That's a great combination. They'll test that. They go to Farrell Field today in Columbia to take on Missouri. Last word, Missouri was going to bring up their redshirt freshman quarterback. They had an injury situation there, and that was a game-time decision. They beat Missouri last year.
Well, that was a great game. Came right down to the wire. High-scoring game. And it looked like ASU was going to give the game away, but they end up holding tight there at the end. And it looked like they were on their way to having a great season, but the wheels fell off in the second half. And, of course, Dennis Erickson and his staff gets fired and makes way for Todd Graham.
Look at Urbano break free. Lot of ground gain there, and another possible personal foul called on Oregon, as it looked like Urbano was hit late going out of bounds inside Oregon territory. We should add that Adam and I and Yogi will be in Tempe next weekend. Should be a good game.
After
Utah
the play,
and Arizona State.
Personal foul. Late hit out of bounds, number 4 on the defense. 15-yard
personal
penalty.
foul penalty
Automatic
today.
first down.
That's just inexcusable, Adam. I don't know how you cut that, but that's inexcusable. This team has got to be more disciplined if they want to repeat as conference champions.
Yeah, I mean, there's times when it's really close right there on the sideline. Sometimes you don't know. But, you know, 3 or 4 times now in this game, it was pretty apparent that the runner was out of bounds. And, you know, that's not winning football. When a tight game and a good opponent, you know, those are the plays that are going to come back to haunt you.
Eric Dargan, the guilty penalty there. Here's a draw. This is Bush pounding his way forward across the 25-yard line. So the sophomore keeps things alive.
Well, a nice, tough run up the middle, breaking some tackles.
Pick up a 9 on the play. Tennessee Tech scored on a turnover to begin this game. They were ahead 7-0. Here's Bush again, bouncing outside, got a nice block and moves to the second level to get inside the 10. But there is yet another flag on the play. This down at the 25-yard line.
The number 66, the center, Michael Baker, was able to get up on the linebacker second level, which made that hole.
There is no foul on the play for an illegal formation. The formation was legal.
Formation was legal, and the play will stand. And so Tennessee Tech has the ball inside of Oregon's 10-yard line.
Yeah, not a bad drive for the Golden Eagles right here.
Pick up a 14 on the play. First and goal to go for the Golden Eagles. And again it is Bush. This time he's able to move the pile forward, and a gain maybe of 2, 3 on the play. Six plays, 66 yards so far for Tennessee Tech. Second down. Pressure from the edge. Stone fires a bullet in the end zone. Touchdown, Tennessee Tech. Darian Stone rolling out. Found his man Doug Page in the end zone. The H-back from Franklin, Tennessee. And Tennessee Tech is on the board once more.
Well, that's a solid drive for Tennessee Tech. And if you're Oregon, this is interesting because you take a look back at that first game against Arkansas State. The reserves, they weren't happy with how they played. At Arkansas State, run up a lot of points and put some yards on the ground. And they really felt like they had some teachable moments they can correct. Today, the reserves not doing the job.
Tennessee Tech uses an interception and marches down the field to put another touchdown on the board. Welcome back to Eugene, Oregon. The Ducks in command of this one, 49-14, 4:51 to go in the third quarter of play. Braylon Addison is back, shielding the eyes from the sun, makes the catch and is spun around and dropped shy of the 25-yard line. Sunday night, recap all the weekend's Pac-12 football action with Football Rewind, presented by 5 Hour Energy. Get scores and highlights from the Pac-12 and around the country. That's Football Rewind, presented by 5 Hour Energy, Sunday nights at 9 here on the Pac-12 networks. Tell you what, that is a handy service to fans and broadcasters. We're here doing the games. It's great to come home and kick back and watch a full evening of one rewind after another. And what a great weekend it was last weekend. Oregon keeping it on the ground. There's a fine looking run there. That was Byron Marshall, who's getting some touches here in this third quarter.
Yeah, looking tough, pulling the left guard, having some shakes in him. Sets it up to the outside, squirts up the middle, breaking tackles. 3 good runs so far by the youngster.
Picks up 17 there, and he'll get it again. Works it right side, gets a block down to the 46-yard line. Fresh legs, Byron Marshall, freshman out of San Jose, California.
Again, showing good vision. Watch the cut right there. Excellent job by the right side of that offensive line that allows him to get in the secondary before he's touched.
Bennett, the quarterback, hands off again. Slants left and then veers back to his right. And coming right back at him was Byron Marshall. Quick pace to this, as you know. No huddle offense for Oregon. They love to just get it and go. Bennett rolls out left. He's run out of territory, and he just put it out there in space and ushered it out of bounds. And they'll mark it back there about the 45-yard line. Loss of yards there.
Yeah, Golden Eagles doing a good job on the speed option, and that's one of the best plays that Brian Bennett runs. There's really nowhere to go, so he just kind of pitched it out of bounds rather than take the loss, I guess. 2-by-2 for Oregon now with 3rd and 7. Bennett flips it to the man coming out of the backfield. That pass was underthrown. I don't think it was caught. Incomplete is the indication. Marcus Mariota giving way to Brian Bennett, who's going to get some repetitions. So the Ducks will have to punt it away with 3:27 left here in the third.
Oregon 8-1 in conference play last year, 12-2 overall. And then, of course, beat Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl, 45-38. Tight spiral. Stephen Bush back to field it at the 11-yard line, and that's where the Golden Eagles will get underway. We mentioned the resume of Oregon because they're ranked 4th in the country, and they are on the verge of once again defending beginning next weekend their 3 consecutive Pac-12 championships with a game here against Arizona.
And they've really dominated the Pac-12 since Chip Kelly has been there. You know, you go back to last season, they had that close loss to USC. That snapped a 21-game home streak that they had. And, you know, they got over the hump, finally beating a BCS school in a bowl game, beating Wisconsin. There's a lot of great things that they've done here. There's only, you know, one more thing left to do.
Quick pass near side out of the backfield, and a gain of a few on the play. Cody Matthews out of Gallatin, Tennessee with the catch.
That was one of the few plays so far in this second half that you've seen the second team defense come out and fly around a little bit. And there's a big difference between the first group and the intensity and the speed that they play and this second group. And they have to get these young guys, the second teamers, up to playing at that high level.
Troy Hill in the cornerback now for Oregon. Darian Stone flushed out of the pocket, rolling, looking, and gets out of bounds with it. Sets up a 3rd and 8 now for Tennessee Tech. And Chip Kelly really has that lower jaw set now, just as he did in the first half. He's probably as anxious as anybody to get the Pac-12 conference play underway. They had Kansas State and New Mexico on the schedule, but they both dropped out. And, of course, then they had to quickly go out and bring on board some teams to fill the schedule. Tennessee Tech was out there for $500,000. Golden Eagles come in here and they'll play it.
Yeah, it's tough. In this day and age, scheduling in college football, you know, the schedules are set so far out in advance. When you get dropped by 1 or 2 teams with such short notice, it's really hard to get somebody to come up here and play. And I know a lot of people are disappointed that they had a soft non-conference schedule this year, but you know, you can only do what you can do. And Chip Kelly welcomes the big matchups. And coming here in the next few years, you're going to see some big non-conference games that come in to play the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, home and home with Michigan State. This one up the side of the foot, but effective as he gets down to about the 45-yard line, and that's where Oregon will take over with a short field. And Oregon with a short field that could pay instant dividends for Chip Kelly's offense. 37-yard punt, 1:55 left here in the 3rd. As a coach, and I'll ask this to Yogi Roth and to Adam Archuleta, Chip Kelly, what are you trying to manage at this point with a sizable lead? You're playing your backups. In some cases, you're playing 3rd string. Here's Bennett now. Direct snap, fakes the handoff, flings it near side, complete to about the 47-yard line. What's you suppose Kelly is trying to do here as he manages this game?
I think he wants to see the young guys execute and be clean. And because he knows that they're going to need some of these guys to step up. Oregon plays on both sides of the ball, a lot of different players. And so they're going to have to rely on depth to get them through this season. And that was one of their strengths of their team, was their depth and the guys that they have at reserve. And so you want to make sure that when they get in the game, they get the opportunity, that they have the expectation that they have to play like a starter.
Well, Yogi, one thing's for sure, they're using this to their advantage, giving Bennett some touches, but also Byron Marshall, who got the carry there and the carry again. And he gets to the 2nd level and is wrapped up and dropped at the 35-yard line. Good-looking young back.
Yeah, well, you can mark it down. There's going to be a game in the Pac-12 where Byron Marshall is going to carry this Oregon offense from the backfield. And they know this with their 2s and their 3s. And right now, they're finding out with these critical snaps, who can they count on later in the season?
Bennett adjusts. You can see him check down the progression and finds a man to the far side, the 22-yard line. Nice gain. Dwayne Stanford, 6'5" freshman out of Cincinnati, Ohio. That's one of the young players that Yogi was talking about. Probably we'll see in critical situations this year in Pac-12 play for Oregon.
And that was Brian Bennett's best snap in the game as a passer. Went through his progression, saw who was open, who wasn't, and really put the ball right on him.
So mixing up run and pass, Bennett moving Oregon efficiently down the field. Total offense today for the Ducks, 557 yards. Bennett the handoff and a big gain down to the 5, and again it is Byron Marshall, and boy, he is just ripping stuff off and gashing that defense.
Yeah, up the middle, Trevor Fox, the reserve offensive lineman, pulls around, gets up on a linebacker, doing a nice job gutting the inside of that Golden Eagle defense.
9 carries, 103 yards. Pump faking. Bennett changes directions into the end zone as he is spun around and flipped into the air. And a touchdown, Oregon, as Bennett has done it again, going solo into the end zone.
And that's where he's at his best. He is an electrifying runner at the quarterback position in this offense. And down in the red zone, he's almost unstoppable. Watch him as he goes up over the top. You got to be careful, big guy, because that's some dangerous stuff right there.
It sure is. Seven plays, 52 yards. Time of possession, 1:40. Bennett, the 6-yard run and the flip, and nearly stuck the landing. And the extra point is up. It is good. All Ducks. And we've still got a fourth quarter yet to go. Well, as most everyone expected, Oregon leading big on Tennessee Tech. 56-14 the score. The Ohio Valley Conference champions of a year ago. On the road here in Eugene, Bud Golden returns this one up to about the 25-yard line, and that's where Darian Stone will take over, the quarterback of Tennessee Tech, coached by the venerable Watson Brown, the 62-year-old older brother of Mac Brown, coach at Texas. Won a national championship as coach there. OVC Coach of the Year, Watson Brown. He's been in head coaching now for 28 years. With stops at Austin Peay, Cincinnati, Rice, Vanderbilt, and 12 years at UAB. His grandfather was Jelly Watson, who's in the Tennessee Football Hall of Fame. Long-time high school quarterback, or I should say coach, at Cooksville, Tennessee. Brown, a quarterback at Vanderbilt back in the late 60s. Stone hands off in a gain of a couple on the play, modest gain. Adam Urbano tripped up. That ends our third quarter. Fourth quarter yet to come here from Eugene. 59-14, all Ducks.
If you're just joining us, this is the story of the game. Oregon defensively flying around. Taylor, Hart, Dion, Jordan causing a lot of havoc for the offense. And then the fastest thing that Snoop Dogg has ever seen on grass, the Black Mamba, De'Anthony Thomas, breaks it open. Did it all the way around, on the ground, in the air, and in the return game. And that got the Oregon Ducks rolling here in Eugene.
Shizzle on the hizzle. I think that's what Snoop were here. I think that's what he'd tell you, Adam.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what he was seeing. That's what he was seeing.
I think that's exactly how you would say it.
Well, it's good of Snoop because he sponsors that football program down there. Crenshaw High School, of course, is a tremendous school in Los Angeles, California. Kevin Ollie, Crenshaw High grad, just named the coach of the Connecticut men's basketball teams. Jim Calhoun steps aside. So they've had some luminaries that have come from Crenshaw High School, and Snoop good enough to put his money where his mouth is, supporting youth in the football program down there. Good for him. The Godfather of De'Anthony Thomas, who has long since been put on the shelf here this afternoon. Thomas was electrifying. If you're joining us late, you missed the show. 3 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown, among other things, for him this afternoon. De'Anthony also a touchdown on the ground with 3 carries, 62 yards. An all-purpose dynamo. There's a look at the Mamba. Spelled with an O, by the way. Low snap. Stone picks it up. Handoff. Nowhere to go. Let's go down to Yogi Roth.
Yeah, to check out a great feature on the Black Mamba, we got our own Curtis Conway on pack-12.com talking with none other than Snoop D-O-double-G. It's a great feature. It's a fun piece. And you really understand he's got a nice mentor in Snoop Dogg. I don't think Snoop is as athletic as De'Anthony Thomas as he might be on the Heisman race as we get closer and closer towards the end of the season, because he is just electrifying, fellas.
I don't know. Snoop's got a little of that Latrell Sprewell about it. I think he played pretty good 2-guard.
Well, hey, Adam, he did come out to practice when I was at SC once, play a little wide receiver. He did okay. You might be able to D him up.
Yeah, he's probably more of a crossover guy, you know, on the hardwood.
56-14, all Ducks. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, where we have the Oregon Ducks 56, Golden Eagle 14. And here's now time for our Coors Light freeze cam. Brian Bennett at quarterback, over the top. Easy there, big fella. Nice little landing somersault for his first touchdown, second touchdown of the game.
And back to work they go. And that youngster Marshall again. Byron Marshall's over 100 yards today. 9 carries, 103 yards. Marshall gives you a little bit of that thunder and lightning approach. Marshall is 200 pounds. Barner's at 192. And then, of course, De'Anthony Thomas will come out of the backfield. He'll catch those passes in space in the flat, and he'll light you up as well. And then Bennett runs for 2 touchdowns this afternoon. Well, that's no story, though. Oregon's got some weapons, as they are sharpening their sword, as they say. They're sharpening their sword and approaching next week here against Arizona. Barner has a touchdown today as well. Negotiating the near side and running just outside the right hash is Marshall again. Couldn't be a better day here at Eugene, by the way. We started the day 70 degrees and absolutely no wind. Probably built to about 80 degrees today. Bennett on a keeper, spins and got corkscrewed to the field. He's down around the 44-yard line. The Great Northwest. There it is. They've had a lot of wildfires in the area north of here in the state of Washington. The air a little hazy as you look out over the mountains. They had a timeout on the field with 12 minutes remaining in the ball game. SC and Stanford later today. Number 3 USC, number 16 Stanford. Last year a 3 overtime beauty, Stanford winning as Andrew Luck negotiates down the field. Now is Josh Nunez starting in just his 3rd game since 2008. In 2010, Andrew Luck let him down the game-winning field goal at him, and then last year McNeil, USC, fumbled into the end zone, and so Stanford's won the last 2.
You know, what a great game last season. That was one of the best games of the season. But a little bit different Stanford team that we're watching right now. Obviously, Andrew Luck is the big story, has been the big story up there. But nonetheless, that's going to be a big game in the state of California.
Pac-12 in the top 25, USC and Oregon in the top 5. Stanford at 21, UCLA 22, and Arizona at number 24. Arizona at home later against South Carolina State, their next opponent here in Eugene, breaking free near side. That is a sizable gain. And a tremendous stiff arm as Oregon now has Ayale Ford on the field.
Yeah, Ayale Ford, nice cut. The stiff arm right there in the linebacker, all up in his grill, telling him to get out of his kitchen. And breaks it down the field, almost a touchdown.
Here's the handoff left side. That is Marshall bouncing outside. And a touchdown. Byron Marshall with his first touchdown of the afternoon to go with over 120 yards. A pickup of 4 there for Marshall.
It's just a matter of right now, and it's been so for most of the second half. Even towards the end of the first half, the Golden Eagle defense is just tired. And that's one of the things that Watson Brown talked about is Oregon and the tempo that they play at just wears you out. And it's so difficult to try and stay up for an entire game when you're going up against a team with so many athletes and so many weapons and so many ways to beat you.
And all that depth and blue chips athletes playing as your third stringers, hard to beat that.
No question.
Those kids have been working very hard in practice. They've earned some time, and they're certainly getting some run now. Byron Marshall, 125 yards and a touchdown. Oregon 63, Tennessee Tech 14. Pac-12 football is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. By Frost Brewed Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer. And by Dr. Pepper. Win up to $100,000 in tuition by telling us your story at drpepper.com. No purchase necessary. Always one of a kind. Welcome in, everybody. Adam Archuleta, Yogi Roth, Kevin Calabro on hand here as Oregon has put up 640 total yards and a great balance, Adam. 328 yards through the air, 312 via the ground.
Did a great job coming out, throwing the ball downfield in the passing game. I thought Marcus Mariota really looked sharp, made some crisp reads, had a couple of mistakes, but for the most part, the precision was there in the pass game.
Well, a moment of hesitation as Bud Golden makes the catch at the end zone. Thought about it. Was the foot back behind the goal line? It was maybe an inch or two, and so Tennessee Tech will bring it out to the 25-yard line. The new rule change in college football. They'll bring the touchback to kickoff back to the 25-yard line. Of course, the kick has been moved up to the 35, and players line up at the 30 on the kickoff, trying to reduce the number of high-speed collisions out there and thus concussions. So Tennessee Tech goes back to work. Darian Stone remains at quarterback, the backup for Tech. Handoff going right side. Stephen Bush probing, works out right side, strung out and tackled down across about the 25-yard line or so. Tyson Coleman is in, the freshman redshirt from Oswego, Lake Oswego, Oregon, makes the tackle. Watson Brown said, in watching Oregon last year, we just decided we wanted to play like Oregon does. He says, you'll see a lot of the same sets, a lot of the tempo. We want to play just like the Oregon Ducks. He completely changed up last year what they were using, and it led to an OVC championship.
Yeah, he really liked the depth, and he felt like it's a heavy senior class, guys that have been in the program a long time, and a two deep, which you absolutely need if you want to run this style of offense. Really lent itself well. And his guys really took it up, and they've done really well and started moving the ball.
Darian Stone moving the ball that time on a keeper. Fred, you want to hear what coaches have to say about the weekend's games? Then tune in Tuesday night for Pac-12 Playbook. You'll get the sideline insight from the guys calling all the shots. That's Pac-12 Playbook, Tuesday night at 9 on Pac-12 Networks. Mike Yam and Rick Neuheisel, Curtis Conway along after this game to break down the action that has occurred in the Pac-12 so far and look ahead to games that will be later tonight. Bush goes nowhere.
Well, it's so tough. Oregon right now, their defensive ends are coming off of that edge so hard. and nobody able to block him on the outside. They completely meet in the backfield at the quarterback or the running back. And when that's happening, it's very difficult to try and move the ball.
Sam Camp got in on that play, a redshirt freshman out of Mesa, Arizona. Well, Tennessee Tech has run 56 plays. They've only gained 119 yards today. Here's a short punt, and that flutters out of bounds near the 40-yard line, and that's where the Oregon Ducks will set up shop when we come right back. With 9:06 remaining to play, Oregon 63, Tennessee Tech 14. Back here in Eugene, it is time for the Quicken Loans amazing play of the game.
Well, no question about it. De'Anthony Thomas marked him down for not just this play. He had a bunch of them, but an unbelievable effort. The only problem was, big guy, you got to tuck it before you get across the goal line. That's a touchdown off of the board for De'Anthony Thomas, and one for the big right tackle, Jake Fisher, hustling downfield, picking it up for the score.
Yeah, they go to work again. This looked like Ford up the middle for the Oregon Ducks as they're spreading it around. There's the talent of Kenyon Barner on your left and De'Anthony Thomas on the right. Wearing hoodies down there. I didn't know it was that cold down there at the stadium. I mean, they're dressed up like this is, you know, the frozen tundra here or something. I think it's a fashion statement. It's got to be so. That, huh?
Yeah, that looks like it might be a Snoop Dogg special.
Well, Thomas has just been crazy good today with a couple of touchdowns. The one that Adam just mentioned that was stripped away. Rushed 3 times, 62 yards, caught 3 balls, 73, returns 4 punts, 87 yards, 84-yard punt return. And each time he touched the ball, you're thinking he's going to go the distance.
Yeah, it's at the point now where he doesn't score and you're disappointed. And you almost want to give him a minus if he doesn't get into the end zone.
72 offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
Penalties have plagued Oregon today. They've had 4 personal foul penalties, 11 for the game, 11 total penalties for the game, 4 personal fouls. And Chip Kelly, I'm sure, is going to be addressing that.
If there are 2 blemishes on this game for Oregon, the penalties is one, and the fact that the 2 turnovers that they had allowed Tennessee Tech their 14 points. And so that was the stat that Chip Kelly is worried about, is how do we handle the turnovers and can our defense stop them? And then when we get the ball, can we take the ball and score? That's the important part. And I'm sure that's going to be the message when they get in the meeting room tomorrow, Monday, when they take a look at this game. But the execution, especially by the first group on both sides of the ball, I thought was very well and at a high level.
As they prepare for Pac-12 play next week here against Arizona. Jackson Rice to punt, and Bud Golden is back. This is a beauty. Tight spiral comes down to Golden, and he trips up, fell down, ball may be loose. Pile of folks down there just inside the 10-yard line. A 48-yarder, had a little bit of wind behind him, and that thing just carried on the spiral. Came down to Golden, and he was off balance when he went to the field, but was able to wrestle it away down there at the bottom of that pile. Well, I lost something. Go get it. Knee down. Ball jabbed free, but did he ever really have possession of it?
Yeah, he never looked it in, and that was a problem. You can see his eyes didn't follow the ball all the way.
All right, Bud, come on over here, says Watson Brown. Let me tell you what my grandfather Jelly once told me. Watson Brown's dad owned a sporting goods store. He said he and Mac Brown, who is the coach of Texas, would wait around the sporting goods store until Jelly would come with a school bus and the football team. They'd jump on the school bus. They'd go to Jelly's high school football game. That's a great way to grow up, isn't it?
You got to love it. That's where it's at right there.
They're in Cooksville, Tennessee. Watson's still down there teaching. Watson said these types of games are fun for the players, but they're not fun for the coaches. I tell you what, though, they had a great number of fans following them that were at the hotel yesterday, and they are enjoying the Northwest hospitality. For a lot of them, their first trip here to the great Northwest, here to the state of Oregon. Darian Stone hands off. Stephen Bush. Bush has room, bouncing outside, accelerating to the 30, and over toward the sideline for a first down. Good play. Tennessee Tech continues to play.
Yeah, they sure do. They haven't really. They're tired. You can see there's some fatigue that started to set in kind of a long time ago, but the effort is still there. The desire is still there. This is a nice run right here by Bush. Now breaking the contain after he pops up the middle. And that's really what you want to see as a coach. You kind of understand what you're getting into when you play these games, but you want to see the effort. You want to see the desire to go out there and compete. See what your guys are made of against, you know, schools that are, quite honestly, one of the best in the country, like Oregon.
Tennessee Tech taking on number 4 Oregon this afternoon. Stone fakes the handoff, goes right side, pounds into a tackler at the 40-yard line and drags the tackler ahead for first down. Well, Stone showing some real grit there. Sophomore from Clinton, Tennessee.
Nice fake, but at the end of the run, you can't give the linebacker your chest. You got to get down there.
You
That's gutsy, but, you know, I don't think that's what you're looking for.
First down for Tennessee Tech. Near side Urbano. Trying to string it out, but Oregon all over that play. They hem him in. Mathis down there to make the stop initially for Oregon. .525 left here in this ball game. Oregon leading 63-14. Tennessee Tech started the game winning the toss and electing to receive. They were bogged down. They were forced to punt. Here's Stone. A little read option outside of the wing, and Bush pushes ahead for 2 yards. But Tennessee Tech took it. They got bogged down. They punted away, and De'Anthony Thomas, waiting expectantly under the ball, had to take a crazy hop at his feet. It grazed off his wrist. Was initially ruled Oregon ball. Then on review, they gave it back to Tennessee Tech, and Tech then took it deep in Oregon territory and scored a touchdown.
Middle screen.
Lead it 7-0.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that Nick Galeotti said yesterday. Look, we're going to come after him in the first couple plays. It might be a touchdown, but we're going to settle in. We're going to play and get after him. But a great start. It's how you draw it up if you're Tennessee Tech. They just couldn't keep up, though.
Stone tried to force that one in there. It looked like just as Stone planted his back foot, he may have slipped. Still had enough on it, but that window closed quickly. Dior Mathis steps up to deflect it away. Good play.
Great break on the ball. Dior Mathis, you can see the trip right there, but that could have been his second pick on the day. Reading the eyes of Stone and just got to finish.
Well, rather than kick it over there to Braylon Addison, they boot it out of bounds, and Oregon will take it when we return, leading 63-14. Oregon leading 63-14 on Tennessee Tech with 4:15 left here in the fourth quarter of play. A moment ago, as players were sprinting toward the sideline and their momentum carried them out of bounds. Man working along the sideline, a quote-unquote civilian standing right here near the Oregon bench, unable to get out of the way. Tennessee Tech player came in there, his momentum. He couldn't stop himself. Big collision, and the helmet right there on his jaw, knocking that bystander down. And they are attending to him right now. The medical staff here at the stadium at Autzen Stadium attending to him. The leg is up, and you can see his right hand is up as well. They have suspended play until they can move this individual, this gentleman, to an ambulance and get him to the hospital here in Eugene, Oregon. And while we have a few minutes and the medical team attends to him, take a look at storylines in the Pac-12. Well, Todd Graham is off to a tremendous start in what he calls his dream job at Arizona State. He's off to a 2-0 start with a win over Northern Arizona and last weekend Illinois. Jim Mora with a resounding victory over Nebraska last week and in week 1 against Rice. And Rich Rodriguez with a win over number 18 Oklahoma State last weekend there in Tucson. Jonathan Franklin has just come unhinged. He's had good years. Over 900 yards last year, over 1,000 yards 2 years ago, but off to a tremendous start. 431 yards, leads FBS in rushing, 215 per game in the previous 2 for Jonathan Franklin.
A lot of big explosive runs by him as well.
Talk about explosion. How about Marquise Lee? 21 receptions, second in FBS. Matt Barkley, already 10 touchdown passes. They take on Stanford later today. And of course, Chip Kelly, back-to-back championships. 25-2 record against the Pac-12. Kelly in his 5th year here in the program, of course, was Mike Bellatti's offensive coordinator for 2 years before taking over. And the 48-year-old from New Hampshire has done an absolutely terrific job here with this team. Coming up for Oregon, it would be, I suppose, out of human nature if you're the Oregon Ducks and their fans certainly to look ahead at that USC game down in Los Angeles on November the 3rd. But wait a minute. Arizona turns heads with that win that we just mentioned last weekend. And they're rolling in here for their opener of the Pac-12 next weekend. And then, of course, at Washington State. Washington tried to bounce back after a rugged start, getting hammered by LSU last weekend, 41-3. And it looks like Washington's back on their feet. They are leading Portland State resoundingly this afternoon in Seattle. As they attend to the onlooker down there along the sideline, we have suspended play, but we'll come back to update you from Eugene. So the gentleman that was along the sideline and hit accidentally by a Tennessee Tech defender as he was pursuing the ball, and obviously his momentum carrying him out of bounds, is being wheeled to an ambulance. We did see some movement in the leg and in the hand as he was put on the flat board and taken back to an ambulance. So we certainly wish him the best.
False start, number 68 on the offense.
Boy, up here,
5-yard
Adam, sometimes it looks like such a, well, I wouldn't say a peaceful game. It is certainly a violent game that they play at this level. But you can't really get an appreciation for the speed of the game as a civilian. You obviously playing at a very high level, an elite level for many, many years. You have a full understanding of that until you stand on the sidelines and realize how fast and big, agile these guys are, and just how hard they hit one another, the impact. Yeah, it's crazy.
No question. It's such a different perspective on the sideline. It's unbelievable, and it's great to sit here and watch a game live. You get a better perspective than on television, but the sideline is a completely different animal, and you got to watch out down there.
No, you really do. Well, Dustin Haynes is into quarterback now for the Oregon Ducks. Story on Haynes, 6'3", junior, 2-year letterman from right here in Eugene, from South Eugene High School. Local product steps in. Marcus Mariota, along with Brian Bennett, handling the quarterbacking chores. Bennett came on in the 3rd quarter, did some good things, ran for a couple of touchdowns. Mariota threw for 4, by the way. 63-14 the count, and Oregon keeping the ball on the ground and just trying to get this one done with. We're at 3 minutes now. In comes the punting unit.
Jackson Bryson confirmation. Darius Landry are going deep.
Kelly 25-2 in the last 3 years in Pac-12. That's just an amazing record. Close snap, fielded beautifully, and again a nice spiral and a drive that sends Golden Fair catching to the 26-yard line. And Tech will set up there with 2:31 remaining in this one. Flying back to Nashville, Tennessee tonight. The Golden Eagles will begin Ohio Valley Conference play next weekend. Wish them the best. Had a terrific conversation with Watson Brown. It was great to meet him. You run across some terrific people. He was talking to us about 1969. He's quarterbacking the Vanderbilt Commodores. And back in the day, they only had the one college football game on TV per week, and they're playing Bear Bryant and Alabama. And they went in there and they beat Alabama. We were teasing him, though, about a remark that Joe Namath made recently. And it was that he was relating a story about playing for Bear Bryant. Bear brought him aside and said, "I'm going to trust you to put the ball in the air. I'm going to let you throw 20 times. And you think about it now. I mean, that seemed like it was a real breach from the norm to allow somebody back in that day to throw 20 times. Because Drew had already left Alabama at that time. Stabler was yet to come to Alabama, but there were some great quarterbacks there at Alabama. But can you imagine that? Gee, coach, you're going to let me throw 20 times? Wow.
Yeah, in this day and age, that's an insult to your quarterback.
It really is. They'll get that done in like a half of football. .152 clock running here in the fourth. And it's all Oregon. 63-14 as everyone expected it to be. Some movement up front and a flag. Looks like Oregon may have been in the neutral zone.
Ball start. Number 66 on the offense. 5-yard penalty.
Against the offense.
Main second down.
Here's the remarkable play of the game. Community Credit Union.
Oregon wearing a variation on their uniforms, a new variation today, we are told, and Tennessee Tech wearing new uniforms supplied by Russell Athletic Wear. Here is Stone back to the near side. Well, it was suggested that maybe Tennessee Tech would want to retire the uniforms after today. I don't think so, though. Those are great looking uniforms.
Those are sweet.
Yeah. A lot of purple out there.
It's tough to compete with Oregon on their field, and then not a great game to debut new uniforms when you're playing against Oregon. Kind of get overshadowed by the uniform combinations.
Yeah, you can't compete when it comes to that category. They'll switch up on you. Here's Tennessee Tech now, just trying to keep it on the ground, grind this baby out, and get out of here whole. They have not sustained any injuries that we have noticed here in this game against Oregon. Well, after today's game, be sure to catch all the day's highlights on the State Farm post-game report. We'll recap this game and the other big contest around the Pac-12. That's the State Farm post-game report immediately following the game on Pac-12 networks. Mike Yam keeping him in line back in the studio. Curtis Conway, Rick Neuheisel, great insight into the game and into the game within the game. Now, Chip Kelly doing the moonwalk over there. He thought, let's just wrap this baby up now. They say, no, coach, we need one more play here. So Stone's going to take a snap. He's going to keep it. And he is knocked down, and the game has come to an end. 57,000 see it as Oregon wins again to go 3-0. They move into Pac-12 play next weekend here at home against Arizona. For Watson Brown, the defending Ohio Valley Conference champions, it is on to their opener next week. Kenyon Barner had a terrific day today. So did De'Anthony Thomas. Well, the whole team, look at that. 652 total yards, a record 720. 63 points scored today. 78 plays they got snapped. But penalties obviously plagued them, particularly in the first half. So even though they are ranked number 4 in the country, there's still some ironing out to do with this Oregon team. As Yogi Roth mentioned to us, this is a young team when you look at this Oregon roster.
Yeah, but I think they accomplished a lot of things today, and I think the penalty situation is going to get cleaned up. The most important thing for this team in this game was to come out and play with an attitude, not overlook your opponent, and not think that you could just show up and things are going to turn out your way. And from that standpoint, I thought they did well. Defensively, they were flying around, playing very physical, and on offense, I thought they were clean. The quarterback, Mariota, was real sharp in the passing game, and then Kenyon Barner, De'Anthony Thomas just do what they always do. So this was a plus.
Let's head down to the field, and Yogi Roth standing by.
Coach, over 650 yards of offense. How do you assess that side of the ball today?
I thought they did a decent job. We still got to stay out of the penalty situation, but there's some things we can build on. You know, getting ready, get ready for next week.
And speaking of next week, you got Arizona Pac-12 play starting. What are one or two things you're going to focus on this week in practice?
And we're going to watch a film before we figure all that out. So.
All right, good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Yogi. As we know, it's all about the film. Oregon 63, Tennessee Tech 14, the final in the Sunshine here in Eugene. That's going to do it from Eugene, Oregon, where the final score reads Oregon 63, Tennessee Tech 14. For Adam Archuleta and Yogi Roth, I'm Kevin Calabro saying so long and thanks for watching. And now, let's check in with the Pac-12 Network Studios and, of course, the State Farm postgame report.